Skibidi toilets brought to the world fear, chaos, and destruction. They infected ordinary people. People mutated and became Skibidi toilets. They were getting bigger and bigger every day, doing a lot of damage to society. And only the camera agents together with the Titans could stop this. This is a sad origin story about Titans and other characters. Skibidi toilets conquer the world. They were everywhere, on the shelves of stores, on the covers of magazines on the internet. But what was creepiest, they were among ordinary people. The government was racking their brains and didn't know what to do with them. Sarah was living a normal life. She worked in a bakery and dated a guy. Everything changed when she first saw Skibidi toilet in real life. She had a panic attack. She was terrified of them. Sarah was at a psychologist's appointment. He gave a few recommendations and a test tube filled with inexplicable green liquid. He said it was a medicine that would soon go on the market, and it would help her. The girl left the pills by the TV and didn't want to take them. She thought could manage without them. Soon, Skibidi toilets became much more like her paranoia. Sarah quit her job and spent all her time at home, as she was afraid to go out and see Skibidi toilets. They were her nightmares. The girl spent all her time watching TV. The boyfriend visited her from time to time and said that Skibidi toilets are safe for the public. She didn't want to listen it because every time she saw them, the fear seized her. Skibidi toilets became more popular. One day the girl turned on the TV and saw that all her favorite channels began to host Skibidi toilets. She thought she was crazy. Sarah running as hard as she could and crashed into the TV. Her boyfriend was shopping at the store on his way to her house. He was always thinking about how to help her. After all, she could not stay home all her life because of her fear. The guy went up the stairs. Surprisingly, her home doors were open. When he came in, he was shocked. Boyfriend fell to the floor and watched silently. He did not see his girlfriend, but TV woman. She passed silently without looking at him and went to exterminate Skibidi toilets. Because of the Skibidi toilet, the world was in chaos. Smashed shops, rioting on the streets, falling shares of large companies. No one could stop it. The government tried to keep everything under control, but they were bad at it. The Skibidi toilet army surpassed all the armies of the world. They were very strong, and to win it needed something very powerful. The situation was critical. Half the cities in the world have been wiped out. Presidencies of all countries gathered to negotiate. Even the strangest options were offered. The government was willing to do anything to stop it. One of them suggested a crazy idea: offer cooperation to one of the most dangerous prisoners. Rodney Long was a genius. He could have made anything out of anything. In 1983, he was caught and arrested. Rodney had more than 16 violations of the law. The biggest was the bank robbery, when he built a robot shark and destroyed everything in his way. Then he managed to rob the bank and escape. But soon he was caught in his own shelter, and he was given a life sentence. Rodney agreed to cooperate with the government. Since he had no choice, he sat in the workshop and began to create. He did not sleep at night and had little to eat. For many years he was sitting idle and serving time. At last, he was given the opportunity to prove himself. After a few stubborn weeks, Rodney's development was almost ready. There was just one final touch. Completely change your body, and then he will have incredible strength and forever forget about the weakness of the human body. On that day was born Titan Cameraman. He flew with incredible speed from his workshop and began one by one to destroy Skibidi toilets. Titan Cameraman received no damage from them. He defeated many enemies and achieved his goal. But he can never be the same person. The Miller family recently had a baby. That's why they were looking for a new home. They were offered many different options, but they stopped here, a quiet street with friendly neighbors. Jack got a job, and Riley took care of little Lily. She was cooking, eating, and getting used to her new home. While inspecting the house, she went down to the basement and found a lot of old equipment there, and informed her husband about it. One day, new people appeared in their area, a group of teenagers who settled in a neighboring house that surrendered. At first, nothing unusual happened, but soon began to play loud music. Lily woke up and began to cry. Her parents tried to calm her down and ignored her neighbors. It was nighttime. The music became louder, and the child could not sleep as well as Jack and Riley. Father's patience ran out, and he went to them. He explained the whole situation and asked them to keep the music down. They agreed, but when he came home, he noticed that the music had gotten louder. Then he called the police. Noisy neighbors were given a warning, and after a while the sound stopped. Early in the morning, Riley woke up. The alarm clock had not yet had time to ring. She was going to make breakfast, but suddenly there was a pile of garbage on the lawn, and their windows were also dirty. Their whole house looked like a garbage can. When husband woke up and saw this, he told wife that we were gonna figure it out, and that he had to go to work now. Jack went to work, and Riley started cleaning up the mess. Finally, when the house was completely cleaned, Mother found some time to rest. At that moment, Father came home from work, and he said he had a very stressful day. They went to bed together and listened to pleasant music on the radio. They talked for a long time, but their rest was again interrupted by loud, unpleasant music from the next house. Father was very angry. He remembered the technique that was lying in the basement. He went down and put it on the lawn, hooked up all the wires. He didn't have patience anymore. He wanted revenge on his neighbors. When things were rough, he turned on the music and started to turn the volume on all the speakers. On the lawn, there were a lot of wires from the speakers, because of which he tripped and fell on all the equipment. He began to electric, and he was screaming in incredible pain. Riley saw it all through the window and was in shock. Jack stopped making noises and moving. All the neighbors came out of their homes. Someone called the ambulance. Someone standing in horror and did not understand what was happening. Everyone thought that he had died. Riley began to weep and blame the annoying neighbors. There was a sound from the mountain of speakers. All the attention became focused on this heap. A bunch of speakers are starting to turn into strong. It was the speaker man. He was looking at the neighbors who were making noise and making trouble. They were at that time numb with fear and did not know what to do. There was a very loud and unpleasant sound coming from the loudspeakers. The windows in all the houses were broken. Everyone grabbed their ears. Lily began to cry violently, and he looked at the child and at those around him. He was hurt because he made so much trouble, because of his anger. After that, he fell to the ground and passed out. Lucas's parents recently divorced. Lucas and his younger sister stayed with their mother. They moved to another town, and they started to get used to it. They were going to have a hard time adapting to the new city. Brother and sister were accepted into the school, and mother worked remotely. The first day at school was the most exciting. Lucas met new classmates. They were very friendly. He saw many new faces. The bell rang for the first lesson. It was biology. Lucas was very talented and smart. In the last school, he received excellent grades. After the lesson, the students went into the corridor, and Lucas saw a beautiful girl. A classmate noticed this and said it was Charlotte, and those all boys chase after her. Lucas said that he didn't even think about it, although he liked her very much. When he was passing through the school hallway, someone pushed him. He dropped his books on the floor. It was Henry with his buddies. They were studying in Parallel's class. A classmate told me not to pay attention to these assholes. Lucas saw an announcement that in a few days there would be an annual science fair, and the whole school is invited. When he came home, dinner was waiting for him. His sister Emma was mean, and in everything, I always wanted to be the first. She constantly competed and argued with her brother. Emma also saw the announcement and said that her invention would be much better than her brother. He grinned and went to his room. In the evening, he thought about that pretty girl at school. Most likely, he fell in love with her. The next day, Lucas came to school. He was taking things from his locker. A few meters away, Charlotte was standing with her friends discussing the science fair. They were talking about some robot in the garage. After her girlfriends moved away, Lucas did uncertainly come up and offer help. They met, and she said one more person wouldn't prevent our team. Charlotte said it had to be the biggest project in school history. They met at Charlotte's garage. Lucas saw the robot and said he could do much better. He made some changes to the robot. It took him almost a day. He came out of the garage and he saw Charlotte kissing some guy. Lucas was disappointed. The day of the scientific exhibition came. Experts in science and technology were invited. There were a lot of different and interesting projects, but the biggest one was Charlotte and her team. It was a robot with artificial intelligence. It could process information very quickly and could talk. The whole team was getting ready to perform. Lucas was checking to see if there were any problems. Hangry and his friends approached the next table. They began to laugh at the classmates and joke about their scientific work. Lucas told them to stop this. Henry said,
"Look, who's so brave?"
He pushed Lucas and hit the robot. The robot fell to the adjacent tables and was in an incomprehensible pettiness, which mutated it. Everyone was very afraid of what was seen. It was Titan TV Man.